boy.
How you doing, guys? Good evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome to the show. Hopefully you're having a lovely, lovely Tuesday evening. I know most of us have just finished watching the World Cup. People were watching the France match. I didn't get to see much of it, but I know that France won. I think is it 4-1, Cow? Is it 4-1, 5-1? I don't know by how many goals though.
I didn't watch much of it, but I think it's 4-1. I didn't watch most of it.
Yeah, but Mbappe apparently was amazing, which is always good. I just saw one of his goals. We're just repeating them here. Something I picked up, Carl, something you like asking from our wingers. He was at the left hand side, right? Then he had his man. He he ran to his man, beat his man, then crossed. Something we never see mostly from our own wingers, don't we? So it's something I said. Carl has likes asking for that, a winger who can run at his fullbacks and be able to cross or do that or get the
Yeah.
balance. But anyway, we're not here to talk about that, guys. I'm pretty sure everybody has heard the news. The news broke out this morning. It was David reported it. Jack reported it, who is also very liable of Man City, and everybody's reporting it. There's few stories I saw. There's one story saying Akanji helped. I don't know, but I couldn't read the article because it's so athletic, so I couldn't get into the article. But let's just talk about this importance, Carl. So what do you think, Carl? It's people thought it's gonna be announced. Obviously, it doesn't be officially announced by the club, but you can know it's official now with the library sources that have reported it. But people thought the news will come out more when the World Cup is finished. But it looks like it's already done. The extension is
Oh,
agreed. Pep Guardiola is here for another 2 years.
I mean, if you think about it, it was never going to come out at the end of the World Cup, and that makes no sense. It's always going to come out right at the beginning, so that people have time to recover. He has time to go on holiday, and people have time to reset. You and I have said that this was always done. Was done before. Was done months ago. It wasn't just, the guy didn't fly to Abu Dhabi and start a discussion about his future. Things don't work like that, right? It doesn't work like that. It's not like you're going on a first date with someone and you're going to decide whether you like them or not. Maybe it's like the show Love Is Blind. You don't just do that. These guys are friends. They've been together for a long time. They know what's going on. This thing was done and agreed to months ago. Just the announcement came now because everything's cooled down and they're on break and they can restart again. I really worry about some of the naiveness I hear. It's like, I mean, you think he's going to fly over to Abu Dhabi and they're going to sit down and talk about it and then they agree there? I think it was done months ago, man. Done months ago. These guys are friends.
Let's go to the
If,
positives though. What is the positives on this? Because we do know that Pep Guardiola has never stayed at a club for this long.
well, I think that I think it's going to stay for even more time. I
Mm,
think when we start winning Champions League, which we will start winning them, I think it's going to stay even more because winning is addictive, right? Winning triggers in your
mm.
brain dopamine, and you want that rush all the time. So when we start to win Champions Leagues, and it's time for us to start winning Champions Leagues, it's time for us to now prioritize the Champions League. I think he stays. I really do.
Yeah.
Even
Do you
longer
think
than
he
the two
wants to?
years that is
Do
there.
you think he wants to build a legacy like Fergie in England? Because he looks
He's
at that.
already,
Because he always talks about that. He
yeah,
talks about that.
yeah, he's already started. I mean, he's already won back-to-back titles. He's won 4 out of 5. He's dominated England,
Mhm.
highest points, changed the way football is played in England, won the
Yeah,
treble.
all the teams are playing like Man City
Yeah,
playing from the back. I even saw Sunday League teams trying to play from the back and they build from the back. There's no
absolutely.
longer just hoof it and then win the second balls.
Absolutely, absolutely. His legacy is secure. We just need, as a club, we and the fans, local and global, need to. My opinion, right now, we just need to prioritize the UCL.
Yeah,
We
we
just
do.
need to.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
We're
just a
actually gonna do.
fact.
We're actually gonna do a show about that on
Yeah,
a case on the UCL, Man
yeah.
City's case on the UCL, and try to to talk
Gotta do
about
it.
it and see that the club obviously needs to move over to Europe and become loyalty, which at the end of the day is the plan because you can't be spending money on getting players like Haaland because
Let it.
obviously he's just a test of what we're going to talk about. You can buy Haaland. I think Haaland was bought after that UCL. It
Well,
was more triggered after. I look at it
yeah,
like it was one of the reasons why let's go and push this more. We desperately need a goal scorer, a killer in here because if you look at that semi final for Madrid. The first leg we had to kill everything. So Pep, I'm pretty sure that's the other
Yeah,
thing. Well, that's the
yeah,
other thing I think you said or somebody said that you cannot be signing Haaland and you cannot tell Haaland to come to City and then Pep leaves. Do you get what I mean? Like you can't tell Haaland
yes,
or come to
correct,
City
correct,
and Pep is
correct.
walking out of the door just few minutes. So it was never going to happen.
It made no sense. So, and that's why most of the fan base were calm, were assured, they believed that he was going to extend because the logic made no sense. You don't buy Grealish for 100 million and then buy Ellen Haaland the year after for 51 or 55 million. You know, the best number 9 in world football right now, and then you just basically walk out the door 12 months later. It doesn't work that way. Things don't work that way. You know, then you buy a Kanji for 17 million. You buy a Kanji because the manager wants an extra body at the
Phillips,
back,
yeah,
right?
Phillips.
You get Phillips, and then you walk away within. No, 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 no. It was done. It was done. So
Uh,
it was done.
okay, so let me bring this to something else. What does this mean for people like Nico Lewis, who obviously is one of the people you can see Pep likes, people like S. Brand, the youngsters. What does it mean for the youngsters who are coming through now after they see that, oh, the guy who's putting hope in us, Pep Guardiola, is here for 2 more years? That must be a boost to somebody like Nico Lewis, who's just turned 18.
Well, it's very simple for them. Very simple. Perform. Keep performing. You keep
Mm.
performing, he will keep you. You keep performing, he will keep you. If you don't perform, you get somebody else. It's it's straightforward, right?
Yeah, it is
If Rico,
straightforward. Yeah.
right, Rico Lewis has come on twice, he has performed.
Yep.
All of us can see, right? Just keep
Yep.
doing do your part, buddy. Keep doing your part. Keep performing. And
Yeah.
then, because if Rico performs, Patrick, why do we have to combine another right back? We don't need to.
Yeah, we don't. I think if he continues performing like how he is, without fear, performing very well, and obviously going doing well in training, I don't see the reason of us going there and say let's go buy it right back. I think it's good to try these kids and these kids to save us a bit of money, and then maybe we start investing in other parts where maybe we can find somebody. I think for you to invest in these kids, there has to be a reason. But for you to start spending money, you have to spend money unless the academy can produce what you're looking for. Let me just read a comment by McLovin. It says, "Yes, guys, great to catch a live stream. Watch all the playbacks. Big up to you, my McLovin. Respect to you. All the guys watching, click the like button. We're talking about Pep's extension. He's extended for 2 years now. Pep is gonna stay with Man City for 2 more years, which is amazing. Um, what's his contract on right now? When was it going to end? Does anybody know? Do you know?
Yeah, I know. It's going to end next June. Next June.
Next June. So
Yeah, this.
yeah, so fair, so fair. It's good that it's until now he's got two. Wow, that's 2 seasons of Pep Guardiola, guys. How are you feeling, guys, as
That's
City fans?
that's two and
Another
a
two
two and a,
years of
that's 2.5 seasons. Remember, we still have half a season left.
yeah. So wait. Again, I ask again. So what does this make him? Because this is the first time he's stayed at the club for this long. How many years does this make? Does it go together with Klopp
This
for
will be
seven
this will be
years?
9. This will be. I think Klopp will probably do a bit more. I'm not sure. Klopp is 2024, I believe. I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
2024. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
he stays one more than Klopp.
Wow, this is good. This is good news. Is it good news for the competition though? No, I'm pretty sure they're
I
tired
don't.
of
I
seeing
don't.
this man.
Yeah, I don't care. I don't care.
But I'm saying that I bet you they're tired of seeing this man. And after I'm pretty
Oh
sure they
yeah.
saw that papers extended, they're like, shit, he's extended again. He's staying. So,
I,
guys,
there was a quote by an Arsenal fan that says, "Get out of here, you freak! You're spoiling the market for all of us."
I thought that number one. Where's the guts? I thought they had the guts at the number one. So where's the confidence? I thought some Arsenal fans were tweeting saying, it seems like Ateta was just not a con man. Ateta was also helping in tactics. So if you've got that confidence, let's go. Keep going. You win some, you lose some. That's how the game goes. So look, if you guys think you're top, if you end up not being top, yeah, you're gonna feel the pain. And if he's staying, it means that he's seen something. Because this is what Pep
Patrick,
said, and he says many times that I only stay if I see the players are still hungry, and I'm still hungry.
exactly.
So meaning he's still hungry and still ready. Go ahead, Ka.
And we'll talk about this in another show. But let's be clear. Let's be honest with ourselves. Let's be honest with ourselves. The reality is, this year our priority should be Champions League. I'm sorry.
Mm, yeah.
I thought about it long and hard. I thought about this long and hard. The reality is, you don't get Erling Haaland, whose ringtone is the Champions League anthem to win the Premier League. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. If you think that's the case, you need to examine your head again because I'm sorry. It's not.
Now we will. No,
It's
no,
not.
the guys join us. We will. We're gonna do a show. I'm gonna send out the link. We're gonna do a show on Man City's case for the Champions League. We're going to talk about what the Champions League would mean to Man City as a team. Because look, guys, I know a lot of people say, "Oh, the Prem is our bread and butter." I get it, but the level of Man City, where they're going, they have to win a UCL. I think it's just part of what it is. As you're going as a big team, you have to. I think it's just some people might not agree with it, but I'm 100% thinking as a team as Man City, even Pep Guardiola knows it that the next level is to win a Champions League. Because look, I'm gonna just say this. I obviously we're gonna do a show about this, but I'm just gonna say this to you. For people, right? You say I have a preference, but that's your preference. But you must also look at this as a business. Look at this as a team that's changed. The team that moved from Main Road now has moved to the Etihad. Now it's a global team. But for you to finish that you being a global team and a big team like AC Milan, like you're looking at teams like Madrid, looking at teams like United, Chelsea, you have to have one of those UCL titles sitting in your cabinet. That's when you go and sit on the table.
Well,
It's the same
I
thing
mean,
as a boxer. Like you box, cow, you box, you keep winning, right? Let's say you've won 20 in a row, but you've never won the title. You know what I mean? You
well,
cannot be sitting down with the legends.
I think it's partially a cultural thing because a lot of global fans, if you would, are people like us, right?
Hmm.
We grew up in a culture of, okay, what's the next thing? What's the next big thing? Okay, you go to school, you get your graduate degree, you get your postgraduate degree. What's next? You want to start working, better job, better salary. You want to get married, you want your kids to be better. There's that aspirational drive to always drive for the next thing. It's how I grew up. It's how my kids are growing up. It's how you grew up in Africa. That's why you're in Ireland, because you left Africa for better things. Correct? Am I right? Am I wrong? Right?
No,
You
it's
didn't
true. It's
settle.
true.
Yeah.
It's true.
So
Yeah.
it's part of who we are. The next thing for this club, in our club, right? It's not just to dominate England, but to knock off that Champions League.
Yeah,
It is.
you also want them to dominate Europe. Like
Yeah.
welcome better. This is the thing.
I got
Obviously, let's not eat into the UCL show we're going to do. But I'm saying
Hey, Vader.
you're right. You're right. The
what
same
up?
thing
What
as
up,
the
G?
same thing as Pep. I'm pretty sure he sits there and he cannot just be signing contracts saying, "Oh, I want to get 20 Premier Leagues." Nah, I'm pretty sure he says, "You know what? One of my biggest achievement will also be dominating Europe." Because look at Madrid, how they did the three-peat. Who does that? I was impressed. That's an impressive thing. That's a flex. That's like you. Let's say, for instance, I'm a Madrid president. You're a Man City president. We go to the dinner. We're talking about titles. All I can do is flex and say, you know what? We won 3 UCL titles in a row. You know what I mean? That's a flex for everybody. Nobody will say that in that room. They just look at you. Anyway,
Well,
welcome, better.
I mean,
Hey, what up, man?
the similarity, and this is for a lot of older fans, is why England going to the World Cup to win it, right?
Yep.
Right? They want to go win the World Cup. So if you don't want to win the World Cup, then don't go. Don't go. Don't aspire to it. Win the Intertoto Cup between friendly or Euro the Nations League. You have to aspire for bigger things, and in our opinion, you don't
You, you
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 don't
don't
get
go to
Erling
the
Haaland.
but just to participate, isn't it?
You don't. Yeah, you don't buy Erling Haaland to win the Premier League. Yeah, sorry, you don't. You just
Yeah,
don't.
of course you don't, because we won the league without Haaland
Yeah. You want Jude Bellingham. You don't get Jude Bellingham alone just to dominate England. You can do that with Rico Lewis and
and
Bernardo
the
Silva and
market
all these
and
guys.
marketing. Yeah, and marketing. Yeah.
Yeah, and McAtee, all these boys. You can John Stones. You don't. You do it because you want to be there, to be there, and to try to win every game, every competition,
Yeah, you have to leave
including
your
the
mark.
Champions League.
Yeah, you have to leave your mark in
It's time.
Europe. Yeah,
It's
it's
time
time.
for
It's time to
Patrick.
aspire for that. Yeah,
It's time for us to embrace this thing and say, okay, let's go for it. And if we fall short, we'll try again. Let's go for it.
yeah.
Let's do this.
Cool.
I'm sorry.
So
I know we're off track, but
yeah,
welcome,
I know
Vader.
that's for our next. So anyway, Veta, what do you think, man? Pep Guardiola is extending for 2 years. What does this mean to you as a fan when you saw this? When you were sitting there, I don't know, having a jog or you were putting your Christmas decorations up. Well, how did you feel when you saw your phone Twitter this morning saying Pep is extending for 2 years? And guys who are watching, tell us in the comments also. Tell us in the comments and like the vid.
Um, well, first of all, you're early for your Christmas decorations. I don't start until December 1st, but I hear what you're saying.
This is
Uh,
Ireland. We start on the 10th of November.
that's amazing. That is amazing.
It is
Um,
crazy.
what it means. So I've been wanting the announcement for a very long time. I've been looking at the landscape, thinking, why wouldn't Pep sign an extension? I'm racking my brain. You know how sometimes you take a sheet of paper and you write down pros and cons. I'm trying to determine what would have been the cons for him not to sign an extension. And everything led to outside of football. If it was something for him to then focus on family or focus away from the game or things on a personal level. But everything that came back to football, to his career, to wanting to be at the best in terms of the job that he has, the opportunity that has, it kept coming back to City, like sign an extension. It kept coming back to so I tried to remain calm. I didn't want to get too giddy, but I was like, all signs point to him signing an extension. Now the question is, how long would it be? And I think here's where the business aspect is. From a business standpoint, it makes the most sense for him to sign short-term extensions, like 2 years, 3 years, if that's going to be his plan, as opposed to like a big commitment, like I'm signing for another 5 years.
His first
I
one was 4 years, wasn't it? The first one was four, three,
for
four,
the
three.
first one was
It was
four, I believe. Oh, it's three.
Three,
Okay.
three, sorry,
And
three.
and even with regards to that, that was kind of consistent. His stint at Barca, his stint at Bayern. So we kind of get it. This has now been his longest stint at a manager anywhere. But I get it from a business standpoint with the short term contracts, because one, you keep the club accountable to want to make sure that they're doing things for the manager, and two, he's short term. If he slips up, then the club can course correct. But
Yep.
the news is fantastic for us because again, it leads right into consistency. It leads into building off of a foundation that's already successful, but you just want to continue to add layers to it. And we're we're blessed. We're privileged. We're lucky because there's no debate, there's no argument when we try to be modest and say we have one of the best managers in the world. No, we have the best manager in the world. Yes, we're going to be modest when we talk about it, but let's be real. We have the best manager in the world, and he's here signing an extension because this is the best project in the world. Fantastic players, fantastic board. And again, this past transfer
Fantastic
window,
academy. Yeah.
Exactly. Fantastic academy. And to Gundo, what Gundo understands, building off of what his philosophy is. So it's like I'm sticking around here long term, and I know what's being built around me is consistent. It's with my philosophy. When time comes and there's stars coming from through the mix, rising stars, I know that they're going to fit within my program. So I love that, and I know I'm getting a little long winded, but this
Nah,
is
keep going, keep going. You. Even though I'm on the channel, it's also entertaining me to watch you. So keep going.
fair,
Okay,
fair.
keep going.
Um,
You're in your pocket, as
I'm
we
in the
say in
groove. I'm
rap
in the groove
music.
right now.
Yeah, in the
Yeah,
group.
yeah,
Keep
yeah.
going, keep going, keep cooking.
But I love the fact that he's able to now commit for another 2 years, and it's done kind of like in the shadows. It's done in the whispers, right? World Cup's happening. It's not a distraction. Players don't have to answer questions and all that kind of stuff. It's not done after a poor loss, which some clubs tend to do when they're having a bad
Yeah,
stint or a bad run, right?
they
They'll throw
do.
in manager
They do.
extension,
Yeah, they
or
do.
when
Yeah.
or when they don't have the funds and they're not acquiring players to actually pursue things, then they then hit you with the
Mm.
manager signing. I just love how they do business, and I love that it's low kept. I think Pep wanted it this way. He's like, this is business as usual. Let's continue on. I don't know if you guys spoke about this, and sorry for being late, but when you have players like Holland, like Alvarez, like Phillips, like you just look at the players that are within this transfer window, this past
Yeah,
transfer
yeah.
window, as well as the boys that came through the EDS. It's like he's like, yeah, bring on the next 2 years. You know what I mean? Like, or bring on the additional 2 years when this contract's out, because I'm for it. I love what I'm seeing around here. It's it's going to be special, man. And I don't put any pressures on him. And I know I jumped in when Gundo was talking about Champions League. I want a Champions League while he's here, while Pep is here, but it's not. I need one right now.
I mean,
I want
again,
us pursuing.
yeah.
I want us pursuing one, obviously, but I want one. I want one when he's here, because I think it's going to
Can,
be
Yeah.
can
so
I can I throw
special.
a curveball to him,
Yeah,
Carl? Let me throw a curveball to you.
yeah.
How? Okay, look. For me, I think and Carl, we're coming from the aspect that some of us we like advancing. We want to go next level. Like I get people say, okay, look, we don't have the prems like other people. But the thing is, maybe it's greed. Maybe it's greed from some of us, and I'll accept it. It's just that I see that the advancement of that team, right? I just feel like whether we like it or not, and I'm gonna say this to people who are watching this,
Yeah,
you can like
yeah,
it or you cannot buy it. The
yeah.
thing about a team like Man City, especially the team we have right now, their hunger cannot just be Premier League. Their hunger right
Yes,
now has to go
yes,
next level. Because as a player, as a
yes,
Man City player, but the thing is, when
yes.
some of these people are winning, they were chopping and changing. I know Fergie's team was stable, but sometimes when you look at a player saying you've won four, let's say we win another one right now, number five, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you sit there and you're like, wow, I have five or six, but I
Okay,
have
Well,
to
well,
have that.
okay.
Do you
Here's
get
the
my
thing.
Patrick,
point?
Here's the thing. No, Patrick.
let me,
One second. One second. The the Premier League. You saying we've got four Lamborghinis in the garage, and being like, I don't have the Bugatti. That's
no, no, no,
l-
no, no. It's not. I think that's not what. I mean, that's not what I meant. Here's a
okay.
caveat, right?
Okay.
The reality is, here's the reality, whether people like it or not, right? We dominate England. Clear. It's unequivocal. 100 points, 98 points. The best ever Liverpool side couldn't touch us on two occasions. Facts.
Yes.
Fact. Couldn't touch us. The best ever, including all the 6 European titles, couldn't touch us in England twice. Okay?
Yeah.
And we're saying that we shouldn't embrace and want and drive and hunger for the Champions League? Nah, man. I'm
Yeah, but
sorry.
that's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm
No, no,
saying.
not you,
I'm
not you,
yeah.
not you, not
Okay.
you. I'm saying that the
Yeah.
general, and the reason I say that
I think you got a call. He might
Okay, I
have
think
gotten
it's
a
gone.
call.
Yeah, so go,
Yeah,
you
because
go
it
ahead.
got
You
cut.
go ahead.
So
of
I hear.
failing,
Oh, go ahead.
right? So they're
It's mid
they're
speech.
they're afraid of failing, so they say, we don't really care about it. No, 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 no. You're telling me that you can't go to one? Erling Haaland doesn't want to win the Champions League? You're telling me that John Stones, Laporte, Joao Cancelo don't want to win it? Julian Alvarez wants to. I mean, seriously? You think that UCL final didn't hurt them more than anything else? Or do you think, Evita, that they wouldn't give up one title, one PL title, for one UCL? Seriously, they would. They would give up two PL titles for that Champions League win against Chelsea. 100%.
Uh,
100%.
You see, there's a comment here, right, from Sir
the
Alan.
reason
He
why that's
says
tough is
we have 8 titles, 6 Premier League titles. We are
mhm.
the best in England. We need to win the UCL FA Cup. That's another one. That FA Cup keeps sleeping. By the way, that FA Cup keeps getting away from us. Like, okay, Petra, let me just read this comment, then I'll go to you. Um, there's a comment here. I don't know. I'm just gonna read because I read every comment. It says,
We're,
"How
we're,
to
we're
blindly
opening up. We're,
believe that Pep can win the UCL again? He's a great tactical genius, but back then he had a big what personality? Is that what he's trying to say? Or
Yeah, or big
personality
person. Yeah,
okay, big personalities who could get it done. Today we call the lack of Pep's ability to get it done overthinking. What do you think of that,
I
guys?
mean,
What do you think of
so
that?
so yeah, let me say this.
what we're doing, guys, here is we're opening up an uncomfortable conversation amongst ourselves, right? It's an uncomfortable conversation, right? Many of us, when we go to bed at night, right? Yes, we're dominating the Premier League Sunday, Saturday. When it gets to Tuesday nights and Wednesday nights, I guarantee you 90% of us, our blood pressure goes through the roof. It's a fact. It goes through the roof. And when we get to the round of 16 against Leipzig, I guarantee you our blood pressure will go through the roof again. Why? Because we're apprehensive because it's a knockout competition in the European stage. And there's an
Yeah,
expectation that we should succeed. So why not embrace it? Why not
okay,
say, yeah,
yeah. I
we're
I
going to go
hear
for it?
that. I hear that. I hear that from especially with regards to the fan base. The thing that's difficult when within context, right, is that there still is, to a lesser degree, that anxiety, that blood pressure going up, even with regards to the league. Yes, we've dominated, but because two seasons were down to the wire, it wasn't comfortable. Yes, we had confidence that we would get it done, but it was still nail biting throughout the season because it was still back and forth, neck and neck, taking the lead, dropping the lead, taking the lead. So I hear what you're saying. I think it's familiarity with the fan base and that competition, to be fair, and it's a knockout stage obviously because anything can happen, and then we also know that it's who's best on that day. I think the reason why I take the perspective, and it's not to be cowardly. It's not to say I don't want the Champions League, but I also know that within those 90 minutes of competition on that day or two legs, right? It's like we need to make sure we have the bodies. And not to revisit what happened last season with Real, but that's absolutely unexplainable.
Yeah, it
We
was it
none
was
none of
crazy.
us
Yeah.
would have come up with any none of us would have came up with that scenario if we were given a sheet of paper and said it's this amount of time left in the game. You're now 2 goals up with regards
Can
to
I say
aggregate.
something? Can I say
Yeah.
something? My friend, a United fan, called me that day when Riyad Mahrez scored, and he said, "Congrats, Patrick! You're going to the final. Well done, man. You guys, I believe in you." But no, between I know that I don't like Man City, but I hope you guys do something in this. I wouldn't like to see Liverpool or Madrid
Mm.
take it again. And I remember I told him, "Calm down. Let's cool down for a minute."
Oh,
Maybe I
you
shouldn't
still.
have said that. I told him, I was like, let's calm down for a minute. This is Madrid. Then something was just telling me this is Madrid. But keep going
Yeah.
anyway.
But with what Gundo's saying, I'm 100% with him. Like, let's embrace the competition. Let's say that we're out there to win it, because whether you deliver on it or not, the
Mm,
pursuit is still the same. The
it is,
commitment
yeah.
is still the same. Like,
Yeah.
no manager, Gundo coaching his team. There's no way he's saying let's let's just go out there and see what happens. No, he's coaching. He's preparing them to play at their best to win. That's what we're all directed and driven for. That's what sport is. So it's gonna continue to take voices like ours to kind of bring balance with regards to that competition. But we obviously, and we've said it many times, we want them both. We want them both. Um, where
Yeah.
where are you
Yeah.
feeling?
Yeah.
Because I didn't hear what you had to say
Vader,
with the
Vader,
announcement.
my point is, I mean, now that Pep has signed for another 2 years, and I believe that he's going to sign for more, right? I think he's going to sign for
Yeah.
more than two, right? Because winning is addictive. It's what I call a dopamine diaries, right? There's a chemical
Mm,
reaction in your brain that happens when you win. You want to win
yes.
again and again and again and again. And to leave that dopamine high and walk away from it when everything is around you, it's a hard thing to do. It's
Yeah.
very hard to do. You always, I mean, I know I coach and I coach little kids, right? We played 24 games a season. We lost none, not one draw.
Mm.
It's addictive. The week after we stopped the season, I felt miserable. Ask Patrick, I was out
Yeah.
for like 3 or 4 days. I didn't say
Withdrawals.
anything.
You got withdrawals.
I had withdrawal symptoms because I wanted to
Yeah.
get out there. I wanted to win
Hmm.
again. I wanted that fix. It's addictive.
Yeah.
Wait. Did you hold the L?
No, no, no. We won, but I wanted to go again. I wanted to
Oh,
go again the next week. I wanted that fix. I wanted that win, that euphoria of winning again on a Friday night, and I didn't
oh,
have it. So
Hmm.
for 3 or 4 days, notice I was out of social media. I was out of YouTube. I was dealing with that issue of how do I get my fix? What do I do to
Mm.
win again? So it's no surprise that Guardiola has signed another extension, 10 years now, more than Barcelona, more than Bayern Munich, because
Hmm.
everything is set up for him to win, including not just Premier League, but also the Champions League. He has
Hmm.
Erling Braut Haaland. Erling Braut Haaland. He wanted Harry Kane. Why? Not to win the Premier League, but to focus his eye on the bigger thing, the prize. That if he wins that thing for us, he will go down as one of the. He's already the greatest manager in City's history, but he basically cements himself as a immortal, basically for the club.
Right.
Think
Yeah.
about that. So I'm not
yeah.
saying don't focus on the Premier League. What I'm saying is that let's embrace the challenge of let's go for it, man. Let's believe.
Hmm.
Let's push the club towards getting it.
Yeah,
What else we
because
have
you
to
must.
do?
What did I say? Obviously, this was all. I said it to you once. Remember, I said if you look at Madrid and their fans, they don't accept failure in the Champions League. I know they've won it, but they don't. From the beginning, they've never. So, Veta, what happens is when they go in the stadium, the atmosphere. Even my friend who's a Madrid fan told me that there's never an acceptance, and if it happens that you didn't do well because of something else, or the players didn't put as much as the fans saw, there is actually boos and actually frustrations. Even the heads of the fans clubs meet the club and make the house know that that was not a good performance.
Oh
I
wow.
feel like It's just the way things move. Because if you continue accepting something in life, say, oh, I always fail at this. Oh, I always fail at this. I won't do well. I always fail at this. Guess what happens? You will fail at it. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
You will fail, you
Hmm.
not succeed. So anyway, I think this is Sir Alan who's joined us here. How you doing, man?
Doing pretty good. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yeah, loud
we
and
can hear
clear.
you, man. Loud and clear,
Yeah.
loud and clear. So what's your saying on this? First of all, on the Pep news, then you can put your 2 cents on the Champions League.
Well, to be honest, I'm actually pretty excited. I think our the best team, at least for me, the best thing that Man City can do is actually get Haaland. I'm sorry, get Pep and Pep extension because I think he's the best player we have in the team. Even though he's not part of the team, but I feel like without Pep, we don't have this type of system. We don't have this type of. I think the
Winning.
most important part of actually how can I say this? Actually, I see it's the best part of City, at least for
Yeah.
me,
Hmm.
myself. That's what I think. I don't know. I don't know what you guys think.
No, that's true though. You're right. Like somebody said something, and it was one of the streams. Oh, it was HH. One of my friends said that back in the days, right? There used to be superstars. You know what I mean? Superstars, Ronaldinho, Zidane, like the big boys. We used to be the superstars. So they used to be the important things in the team. These days, the most important thing is becoming the manager. I can give you an example right now, guys, on the panel. Look at Ten Hag and Ronaldo. That's not happening years ago. I know Ronaldo is done, but that's still not happening years ago because the stars used to be in charge. But if you look at it right now, the stars. Okay, I think. Okay, wait. I think I am. Okay, cool. So Jose is the one who joined us. I think Sir Alan is the one who's joined us now. I'm right about that, isn't it?
Yes,
Yeah, you are. You are.
Yeah,
You
sorry.
are.
Yeah, so
yes,
it's
my
because
bad.
I sent both links at the same time. Then I was confused. So okay, what I'm trying to say is even what happened in Ronaldo and Ten Hag, that's not happening years ago. Even I know Ronaldo is dusted. It's just that nowadays it's the managers who are becoming the stars of the team. If you follow the manager proper, like Arteta, where it was between Aubameyang and Arteta, guess who lost? Aubameyang. So if you follow the managers these days, managers are the ones becoming like the main star in the team. So Pep
Mm.
is the most important player. You're right, Jose. So, Sir Alan, what do you think of Pep's extension, and what's your opinion on the Champions League?
I'm obviously pleased that Pep's extended. You know, they've signed a 1-year deal with an option to extend for another one, which is good. I would have liked a bit longer, if you honest truth, but at the end of the day, I don't think he's going to do that. And Vater's hi Vater, by the way, you know me as well. Yeah, at the end of the day, I don't think he would have done that. He has got also an option to take a sabbatical after that period as well for signing an extension, which I find a good idea because if you remember when he was at Barcelona, he took a year out to have a rest,
Yeah.
and I think
Yeah.
that's quite sensible moving forward. I think that's good. And hi, Carl, how are you doing? Because Carl knows me as well from another fan channel as well. So I hope you're all right. The UEFA Champions, what people in America and overseas have got to understand, and I get that in America and a lot of places they have finals in their sports, which as you know in soccer, football as we call it, we don't have that. So it tends to be that they like the finals and the knockout competitions more than they do the league format. And the
Yeah.
way UEFA have treated Manchester City Football Club in the past and tried to obviously kick us out of the Champions League with the money. People in Manchester and Man City fans hate UEFA with a passion and don't see the Champions League as better than the Premier League, which I tend to agree with that statement.
That's the
If you look
Bulls,
at
isn't it? The Bulls at the beginning.
yeah,
All the time,
that's right. And yes, I personally would like to win it, the Champions League. But as soon as we win it, get the trophy, lift it up in the air, and throw all the medals in your Champions League and leave leave the cup on the actual pitch and walk off. And Vater knows what Martin, as you may or may not know, from my opinion, way has the same opinion as me.
That would be funny,
that's
isn't it? Win it and leave the medals right.
Oh, well, Martin's taking it to another level with that.
Yeah.
With that imagery as well.
As an organisation, UEFA are corrupt, and like FIFA, they're corrupt. And yeah, I'd like to win it just to shut people up. But at the end of the day, A league format over 38 league games is far bigger, and the money pot 185 million compared to 90 million for the Champions League. There's only one answer to that. And the Premier League is a bigger competition. It never used to be when it was the
It
European Cup.
depends, though, Alan, because I mean, I know the Premier League is a bread and butter. I get that, but I'm talking. If you ask 90% of overseas fans, which would they prefer?
Correct.
And this is the fact.
As you know, I'm living in Australia, and they think the same way. Yeah, I'm from Manchester, but live in Australia. They think the same way as you. So I understand and get it, because you're used to the final sort of format. But in the UK, we don't see it that way. But when it was the European Cup in the old days, before they changed the name and changed and had more money put into it, when it was the champions only that played in the European Cup, I respected the competition as the best, because it was the top teams in every league that played in it. Now you have FC Sheriff playing in it, and Witsu Lons and all these types of teams that we've never even heard of. A lot of respect. Yeah, it's
and maybe Alan, maybe it's a generational thing, because if you go for example on Twitter Spaces or ask a lot of very young people, I mean the premium they put on the UCL is just I mean Veta, you got your spaces all the time. Talk about how much premium they put on this competition versus the Premier League. It's mad. It's way over the top.
Yeah, it's extreme. It's extreme the way they've put it. I've heard many reference trade 3-4 Premier Leagues for one Champions League, and they having that type of.
That's where you lose me. That's where you lose me. When you say give me your 3, I give you 1. For me, my only theory is, let's say for instance, this is one thing I can accept if it ever happens, is where, let's say for instance we end up losing a Premier League this season, right? But a Champions League comes in, I think nobody will complain that much. But this whole thing where they say, oh, if you give me 4 of your Premier Leagues, I'll give you 1 of my Champions Leagues, I see it as nonsense and as useless. Because what are you saying? So you're saying
no way.
So let's look at the 3. The 3, for you to win 3 Premier Leagues, you've gone 38 games, right? And then I just go and say, let me take 1 just for the sake of that I don't agree with. All I say is, if ever, let's say, even this season, if it happened where, I'm just saying if, not that it will happen, where let's say by a miracle, Arsenal actually continue like this and somehow manage to take the Prem, and then City are like, okay, what else do we have left? Oh, Champions League, and they take the Champions League. I wouldn't mind that gap. Obviously, we know that we'll continue with Pep staying here. I'm pretty sure he's going to want his title back, especially if he lost it to his understudy. But that's just my scenario. But this whole thing of 4 for 1, I don't understand where it comes from.
Let me explain. I know, as Carl knows, and Veta probably knows as well. I emigrated to Australia in 2007. Before that, and I still have a season ticket holder at City. I rent my ticket out, and I went from 1971 right through, and including the Division 2 days when we went down, and up, down, up, down. So I went through the hard yards, and I call it the dark days, to see where it is now. And I never thought I'd ever see. I was there in 1976 when we won the League Cup, which was the last trophy we won before we won the FA Cup in 2010-11. I never thought we would ever win a trophy again. And so, I was there when the Aguero moment. I flew back from Australia to see that. And, I go back every year, pre-pandemic, obviously, to go and watch them. And and the way the club's run now, I look at it like this: the way the club is run now compared to what it was used to under Peter Swales, we've got the best owners, we've got the best, more importantly, the best executives running our football club. So we're not going to win the league every single year. That's impossible, right? But if you look at it the way we are, as the way it's run, and we've got managers, when Mancini was there, when Pellegrini's there, they won the league. So eventually Pep is going to leave at some point. And if, like Carl said, if you just said to us, he'll be there for 10 years, you would have fallen off your chair and thought, no way would Pep be there for 10 years. So we are lucky, but the most important thing is it's so well run. It's it's fantastic. And if you look at the mess down the road on the other side of Manchester, it makes me smile even more. So at the end of the day, we've been through the mill, and no matter what happens to the club, whether it wins the league and starts, at some point it's going to drop off. At some point, and that's when you've got to stick with your team, no matter what happens.
It happens to every team, right?
Yeah, of course it does. And at the end of the day, if we win the Champions League at some point, we will. I'll be happy, of course, because I know the players and the club desperate for it. If you're asking me about the older generation fans, we're not desperate for it. The younger ones are. So it depends, like Carl said, on what generation you're talking about. So it's at the end of the day, we've got to be happy the way the club's run. We've got to be.
A big part, and a big part of the enjoyment and the desire for this trophy to be won, to just piggyback on what you just said, is very much for the players. Like what Gundo mentioned, like we know Holland's ringtone is Champions League. We know KDB wants this desperately. We know Silva. We know Pep. We know Pep.
Gundogan, who lost it in the final. I think he also talks about it a lot.
He talks.
Two finals. Gundogan won 2 finals. 2 finals. Lost 2 finals. 2.
So we know that, and Pep as a manager, being the perfectionist that he is, we know that he's driving these players, and that's the cherry on top of the cake of winning the Premier League. So we know he wants it. I think, funny enough, many rivals, that have won the trophy say, "Oh, you don't know what it means to win it. When you win it, you'll realize." I hear all that, but many of them also don't know what it means to win 3 in a row. So it's one of those things, man. It's
look at you. You're trying to throw a curveball in, which is a good one. It's a good one because that's another flex. Like there's a lot of
flex, things, like you mentioned earlier. Yeah.
To be honest with you, look. If you look at even the whole thing we say start padding, right? If you start pad Premier Leagues and have a log of them, I'm pretty sure it still hurts somebody out there, and it's an achievement. It's just an achievement. But Jose, what's your opinion on the Champions League? Looking at it, I'm just looking at the team. But you know what? The other thing, let me just say before we move on that. I just looked at this extension for Pep, as Carl said earlier on. It was going to be quite funny for me to hear news this morning that Pep is not staying after you signed Phillips, after you signed like Haaland. I'm pretty sure when signing Haaland, you have to speak about the manager. Haaland cannot come to a team without talking about the manager. Remember those rumors that they spoke about, they asked that how long is Pep going to be here for? So Haaland can't walk through the door and then you hear Pep is leaving within a season. I don't think so. I don't think it's happening. And to be honest with you, I hope one day we see an extension for Haaland and he just ends up staying for a long time. And this. So Jose, what do you think of the Champions League yourself? What's your opinion? Your honest opinion?
To be honest, I feel like we need to win it. I think there's too much pressure on the players, and I feel that's what we need to get over. I think it's more about the pressure of not winning it, and people always saying City are good, but they're not great. They don't have that European heritage. I think Pep will do it. I think this year we will be close. I feel like we might be able to win it this year, but I think that we do have to win it. Not only for Pep, because Pep already won with Barcelona, but I think it's more about the legacy for City. So every time I hear all the time on streams, people are always saying like, "Yeah, but Pep's never won it," or you know what, City are good, but yeah, but we can still compare it to those Man United teams in the 90s because of the Champions League. So I think all that pressure, and I think that's what gets a lot of the players not giving it that all. So I feel that they need to win it. That's my. And I think they can win it. I think we have the team to win it, and I think they will this year. That's what I mean.
Patrick, to his point, right? I said to you that I feel we're going to win it this year, and I think the draw we just saw a few weeks ago opens things up for us in a way if we get the right draw. Madrid or Liverpool, one is going to go out. Bayern Munich or Paris, one is going out. Then if you're lucky with the draw, you get the kind side of the draw, like Liverpool had last year, anything can happen. And then you have Erling Braut Haaland, right? Erling Braut Haaland.
And Alvarez, don't forget Alvarez.
Julian Alvarez, of course. So I'm just excited. If you don't do it, we'll try again. But I'm not going to shy away from it, man. I want it.
Yeah.
I really want it.
Carl, I will say one thing to you. let's hope that we can actually play for 95 minutes instead of 80 minutes, because
Hey.
every game this season we've had a 10-minute lapse in every single game where we messing around and concede goals. And if we do that in the Champions League, i.e. Lyon, i.e. Real Madrid last year, we're going to go out. That's the big thing.
The funny thing, Alan, is that in the two games that we dropped points in the group stage this year, one against Copenhagen, we actually disciplined, didn't concede goals, kept it calm, kept it mature. Against Dortmund, no goals, didn't concede, kept it cool. I like that progress. In the league, it's like whatever happens, we'll win, we'll lose, and we'll just move on.
Yeah. Well, the reason we're second is because we've been conceding goals in the league, and we're missing Walker massively.
Oh,
we are.
Yeah. Because as you know, when the other fullback, whether it be Gomez or Cancelo, goes running forward, we know Cancelo's not the best defender as a defender. He's all right going forward, but when they go forward and we lose possession, Walker drops into a back three and he covers any ball and goes over the top with his pace. And because we've not had him, we are conceding goals. The result against Brentford, to me, was coming for about 3 or 4 games. It really was. I think we need to find another left fullback who's got severe pace for me, because I'm not comfortable.
I have your answer. I have your answer, Alan. For left back, I have your answer.
Hernandez from France.
That's one. There's another kid who's cheaper. Anthony Robinson.
Yeah. USA.
Yeah,
we
that
did.
Kid,
Unless we solve that problem in January, we're gonna concede goals. And if you concede goals in the Champions League, you go out. You know that as well as I do.
Yeah, see what happens. I mean, they won't. I mean, Pep has a new contract. Hopefully, they've promised him some things in January.
Pep said nothing in January, didn't he? Or people say don't believe him.
You always don't believe him.
Don't believe that. Do not believe that. Trust me.
Okay, Carl, there's a question for you, straight to you, Carl. We know the importance of of UCL for status, but I'm wondering, is there an instant shift on impact that the moment City win the UCL, or is it just an appreciating asset?
If City win the UCL, a lot of things change. In terms of the narrative, in terms of the feel, not locally, maybe not locally, but globally. Your fan base probably quadruple overnight, literally. It changes, and then you go to the whole World Club the World Club Cup thing, and I guarantee you, they take that stuff seriously overseas. I know it's shit in England. Nobody cares.
I've been saying bad things about those 2 cups. So
I'm telling you, man.
Well, Carl, you play against the White Horse pub from Mexico.
Alan, I hear you, Alan, but I'm telling you, on the global front, they take that stuff seriously, brother.
I think it's more about the exhibition. Other people seeing you, especially against.
It's the whole, world champion, European champion. It's the whole
Flamingo,
narrative.
Against Flamingo.
I mean, I don't care about it, but I'll go. Alan, I'll go. Especially if it's in Australia, I'll come and visit you.
Well, you come see me in Melbourne, mate. Don't worry about that. And I hear what you say. Over here, it's just the biggest supporter base over here is Liverpool by an absolute mile, and they just jump on that bandwagon. And I ask them why. And that's a lot to do with Harry Kewell and Craig Johnston and people like that from the years ago. And it's all the Italians and Greeks that support Liverpool over here, and they've got massive fans. But they just think about the Champions League, the European Cup, as I call it, or the UEFA FA Cup is what I call it, right? So,
Patrick, you see where I got that from? I got it from Alan, right? The European FA Cup.
Wait a minute. So, Alan, you're telling me that in that side, they don't care when they lose the Premier League? Like, for them, it doesn't matter?
To them, Liverpool have got a fascination with the Champions League, or the European Cup, as I call it, and a bit like Real Madrid have. The difference is so you understand the differences, and Carl will tell you this. In Europe, i.e., Spain, but the Bundesliga and competitions like that in France, to win the Champions League, they get 95 million euros. Okay.
Yep.
Okay, Premier League getting 165, 175 million. All right, which is a lot
Mhm.
more.
Yeah.
In the La Liga, to win their La Liga title, you only get 45 million. So they need that money to sustain and compete with the Premier League. I'll give you an example. Bournemouth, when they went down, received more money in balloon payment than Atletico Madrid did in Spain. So this it's a money thing as well, and you know, if you take out the Madrid, Barcelona, Atletico Madrid out of Spain, and then you take Bayern Munich and Borussia Dortmund out, and maybe Juventus, all right, and PSG, the rest of the teams in Europe are not that good, and that's why you watch when you watch the group stages,
Yeah, that's true.
they're not
That's
that
true.
eventful because they're not. You
That's
take
true.
them big clubs out because their TV money in, let's say, La Liga, for argument's sake, the TV money that they get, are Barcelona and Real Madrid receive 80% of the TV revenue. The
Yeah,
rest of the teams
it's
make up
not
the
fair.
20.
It's not
So
fair. That's right. Yeah.
that's right. So what I'm saying is the money spreading. This is why the UEFA cannot stand the Premier League. They hate us because we're so wealthy, and every club gets a fair spread of the money. And the clubs are getting over the 50. If you look at the 15, 20 years spread of the Premier League, and when they've done that, every club's getting richer and richer and richer compared to all the teams in Europe. And then you put COVID into that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's not many teams that can afford to compete with the Premier League clubs. So if you look at the teams apart, I've just mentioned them in Europe. You name me those teams that would finish in the top 8 in the Premier League. There's not that many.
Yeah, not many. And to be, you
Yeah.
know what's also funny, Alan? Like, that's the thing I was saying. Like, is it months ago? I was saying it's quite funny to see the teams that are not regarded as the top teams in the Premier League. Let's talk about
Yeah.
mid-table teams. They are buying big ballers from Spain who are in top form.
Well,
Like Lodi,
well,
like look at
this is
Lodi
what I'm
going
saying.
to Nottingham Forest. Lodi, like how
Yeah,
can
well,
he
this
end
is
up
what
in Nottingham?
this is what I'm saying. Every club's got a lot of money in the Premier League because of the money that they get.
Mm.
What I will say to you is the teams in Spain and Bundesliga don't have the money. Apart from Bayern Munich and Borussia Dortmund, they don't have the money that we have, and they don't like they're paranoid about the Premier League. And PSG are the only team in that win the league in France. Bayern Munich are the only team that win it in Germany, and it's either Real Madrid or Barcelona. Now, the way they've structured their competition in Spain, this is why Barcelona are so much in debt, and Real Madrid because they just buy anyone they want. But if you look at the debts of those two clubs, it's enormous. It's absolutely enormous. And you know, if you compare it to the Premier League now, there's no competition. This is why I'm saying to you, the Premier League is harder to win over
Yeah, it
38
is. Yeah.
games than the Champions League. So to me, the first competition I want to win is the Premier League every year, no matter what. And then it's probably I'd look at the Champions League and the FA Cup on par. If you want the honest truth.
Oh, wow.
Definitely, yes, definitely. In England, that's the way. You know, in Manchester, we think that way. Liverpool have got this fascination with the Champions League because they've won it 6 times. But if you saw the celebrations that Liverpool fans did when they won the league in front of us a few years ago, I question that now. They want the league desperately. I'm telling you.
No, they do. They do. Like Liverpool fans will pretend as if saying, "Oh, 7 is more important." No, I have watched them break
No,
down. Like I've
no.
watched them break down with the Prem. They want the Prem, and I think it also it hurts them more when people tell them, okay, when they say, oh, when they do this joke where they say, oh, football never started this year, and people say, no, we're talking about the Barclays Premier League. So they
Yeah,
specified for them, and it just hurts them more. But look, at the end of the day,
yeah.
it's one of those things, Alan. I'm pretty sure, like the times when City won the FA Cup, and then you start with nobody could say, oh, you're gonna win Premier Leagues like this, like what Pep is. So this winning habit Pep has brought in. I bet
Yeah.
you whether people like it or not, it's going to be inside the DNA a bit. Like when something else.
Yeah. But I will change that. The person that changed the attitude at City and a winning mentality was Mancini, without any shadow of a
Mancini
doubt.
was great. Yeah,
He
I
changed.
remember.
He changed that. So it was
Balotelli's biological father, yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, and that's what changed the mentality into back to a winning club like it was in the 70s. In the 70s we were in the 60s. I was, in the 70s I remember watching City when they were second in the Division One, as it was called then, the Premier League, if you want to call it now, and they were second and competed. They were in the UEFA Cup, playing against AC Milan, and beating them. And going through to the quarterfinals against Borussia Mönchengladbach and getting knocked out by them. At that time in the 70s, Borussia Mönchengladbach were a top side. So we had our days in the 60s and 70s, and people say, "Oh, we've got no history." Yeah, right. We were the first Manchester club to win a trophy for starters. Yeah, we won a European trophy in 1970.
And the FA Cup also, one of the clubs to win the FA Cup first. Yeah.
Listen, you can say this to your Liverpool fans when you're over there. We won a European trophy before Liverpool did in the European Cup Winners' Cup. That's a fact. And they don't. And the young ones go, "No, you didn't." Yes, we did. Liverpool didn't win a European trophy until the mid-70s. Fact. So you can actually turn around when they say we've got no history. We've got more history than they have. So there you go. So you got to remember that whilst they're saying the Premier League, it's just a renamed competition with Sky Sports pumping the money into it. That's what they did. But a marathon is always better than a sprint.
Yeah, it is, and you know why the Prem has also gone far. It's because if you look at like in Africa, right? Some of these leagues were Alan, they were on fire, so they didn't care to show themselves elsewhere. Do you know what I mean? Like if you go like some of these leagues, they never cared. The only time I saw the Spanish league was when Barcelona played Madrid, but the rest of the games were not shown at all. So it was always the Premier League, and the Premier League. This is how they got to where they are because they were taken everywhere. And there's a documentary where I saw them that they were just sending their streams everywhere, so everybody was watching it everywhere, all over the world, and that's where they got where they are. Why the other leagues were so on power? They say we will not go that far. They're not making all these deals. Why the Premier League was just making deals with everybody, but it paid off now. Look at that. It's the league that's known, and whether people like it or not, it is the best league right now. Because trust me, I have sat down and watched the other leagues. I sit there and say, is this as good as we think it is? Because if you go to Spain, it's just Madrid and Barcelona. Even when Barcelona is in the mud, they still manage to get back to third or second. That's what happens. If you go to Italy, it was Juventus. It's just now when there's a bit of competition because Juve is going down, but there's always Juventus. Like, how can you win like 13 in a row? That's just even Bayern Munich. That's embarrassing.
It's like in the 80s. In the 80s and the 90s, it was all about the Italian league because they had all the money.
Yeah.
Right. And it's when Gaza went over and played in Italy in Rome, and and Trevor Francis went to Sampdoria, Graham Souness went to Sampdoria, all the big players went to Italy, but then the money ran out, and it's now transformed from Spain back to England. So it's all about where the money is. This is why all the players want to play in the Premier League. And you know as well as I do, if you don't turn up on a Saturday afternoon or a Sunday, you can get beat by the bottom of you can get beat. Hence the Brentford scenario.
Stop.
And exactly. And as much as we got beat last week, Brentford deserved to win 3 or possibly 4-1 easy.
They did,
and they did, and they were better than we were. But you won't get that in Spain, and you won't get that in Italy, and you won't get that in Germany. It just won't happen. So that's why people go to it, because thinking, and I've got the old attitude, and Carl will know this. I've got the old attitude of City-itis, where we could be 3-0 up, 2-0 up with a minute to go and think we're going to lose, because we went through the days of when City used to fuck up all the time, and that's what it was like.
Typical City.
So, yeah, exactly, and that's one of the things you've got to get used to with the club, because it's still there. Hence Real Madrid last year. How to take, we all thought we were through. I was booking a flight from Melbourne to Paris on my phone in front of the TV in the pub, booking the flight. All I had to do was press submit, and before I looked up, and Madrid were, scored 2 goals, and that was it. So I cancelled it. So I was furious.
I know.
So
that was pain. That was
very much pain. Very much pain.
That was pain. Anyway, guys, I'm gonna leave it here. So, Jose, do you have anything to say before I cut off? Then I'm going to go over to Alan. Thank you guys for coming on. Better Games. Carl, I know he's busy because he was driving. That means he's driving home. All the guys have been watching, like the vid. I know the Sunday Blues episode ended on 3. It's because I don't get involved in the World Cup. I can't go and do reviews in the World Cup. I'll be lying to you because I'm not gonna watch majority of the games. I'm working. I'm a father of 2 and I'm working. I don't have time for the World Cup right now. The last time I watched the World Cup peacefully, I was in my father's house. That time I was young. That's why I come from school. We used to watch the matches, but now I can't. So anyway, Jose, do you have anything else to say? Then we'll go to Alan if you've got anything else to say. Even something you want to see the
John,
season, because that comes the second part of the season. Something you want to see.
the only thing that I would love to see, especially in the big games from the Champions League, would be to have Rodri and Phillips play together, especially in those type games. Or we're one up. I think we need to mix it up. Have play with both. I know Pep doesn't play like that. He only plays with one. But I feel that in those, like example in Real Madrid, if we had both of them last year and play both, I think we could still win that game. So I feel that's the only thing that I wish Pep would use more. And
Okay.
also, I think Pep should use more Alvarez on the opposite side, where Matis plays. I think using Grealish or Foden and then Alvarez will give us, I don't know, more speed on that hand on the right side. So that's the only thing.
Okay, that's good. That's good. I think a lot of people want to see more of Alvarez. What about yourself, Alan? What do you want to see this second half of the season? Bernardo Silva extension, or you've also given up on that? A lot of people say they've given up on the Bernardo Silva extension.
I'm not thinking. I think eventually he's going to go. Whether it be I don't think it'll be January. I think it'll be in the summer. Yeah, I know that City are trying to extend him by offering him more money. If he stays, fantastic. Because he's the engine of the team without any shadow of a doubt. But I personally think that we need to sign someone younger in central midfield. I think we lack pace in there. Gundogan's not getting any younger. Kevin De Bruyne is in his early
Yeah,
30s
32
now.
this year.
Yeah, that's right. And Rodri's not the quickest, as we know he's not. Okay.
Yeah.
So I personally think we need to sign someone younger. I'm praying to God it's Bellingham.
What a baller.
Because I'm praying to God. I know they're in talks with him. Hopefully we'll get him. I don't think Liverpool can afford him. 130 million plus.
No,
I don't think Liverpool they can't afford it. I think City will be in contention for that if they can get him. But I think that's for next summer, to be honest with you. I think if they can sign him, I think if you can sign him in January to come in the summer, fantastic. I think we need to go out in January and try and do that, because United might get new owners, Liverpool are going to get new owners, Newcastle will be in the frame. You're talking about clubs there that could afford that. If they get new owners, they'll put a blowout. So we've got to try and sign him in January and get the commitment there. I think I'd like to get over the line as a very quick left fullback. Gomez was a stopgap. He was a bit of a panic buy. He's not the answer. Let's be honest. He's not the answer to play there. I think that's what we need to get that defence sorted out and stop goals going in. If we do that, we'll win the league because we know we can score goals. And it's controlling the game better, more. I'm also worried with something we talk about in the future is why can't Foden produce for England like he produces for the City team, and whether maybe moving him into the central midfield player area might be a good thing for him, because if we don't get Bellingham, we could certainly maybe put Foden in there and develop his game because he can play anywhere. He could play anywhere.
Yeah, he could, yeah. He even said it, I think, in one of the interviews. He said that I think I would be great down the middle, and I think that's where I might end up with my career later on in my career. I think he's capable. I do you know another guy also who's capable? I think even Jack is more dangerous behind a striker or down the middle because every time I've seen him for City, when he drifts down the middle and goes at defenders, he seems to be more dangerous and causes more trouble. And there was a few moments last season where he was down the middle. He put the ball through to one of, I think, Jesus, one nice ball to Bernardo. Obviously, they missed, but he gave them a good through balls. I think he's capable of doing it. It's just a matter of, I think, seeing them maybe one time in the Carabao Cup, which we have seen him before. I think in the Chelsea game, he was down the middle. Well, it was
He was,
4 days
he
down
was
the
there,
middle, yeah.
but we got to remember the midfield and especially the front three rotate their positions, so they all go there eventually. During games, they don't stay in their position; they rotate. So it's during the game they move around, which they do, and the games we've lost this season and dropped points. What's been the one common denominator in those drop points this year? Jack's not played in any of them. What Jack does, even though he might keep all the ball a bit longer than others and slow it down, he keeps control of the games, which is what Pep is obsessed with. He controls. He doesn't give the ball away, and that is a key thing for what Pep wants. And if you look at all the goals we concede them on the transition every single time.
Yeah, so let me just say, big up to you, Miss Melina, and I am very happy to see that you're back to your health. And I was praying for you. I know things were not well for you. She was in hospital for a while, but she made it back, and thank God and everybody who prayed for you. I think all of us were praying for you, and you were strong enough to pull through that. And I'm very happy. Hopefully, I see you do a fantasy league stream, because to be honest with you, with you not without helping me in fantasy, my fantasy league has gone back down. So I hope I see you in the stream. But I'm very happy to see that you're back to your health, and you're winning the fight. Anyway, guys, that's it from me tonight. I just wanted to do a program on this whole Pep thing, which I'm excited about. I got the notification when I was at work, and I was like, no way, this is happening. Somebody must be lying again. But I was like, you know what? I had a feeling that he's going to stay. As Jose said, where else will he go? Where else would he go right now in football? Things are not great everywhere you go. So, Alan and Jose, I'd like to thank you very much, you guys, for coming on. As always,
No problem.
my channel is always open for everybody. I always do a Sunday show where Sunday Blues, Martin comes on. A lot of his City fans keep coming on, in and out. It's just that I love chatting with people. I actually do programs on my own, but I feel like I'm lost. But it's good when I'm bouncing off people, because I always learn from other City fans. So on that note, it looks like as we are saying goodbye, Carl walks in. So Carl,
Sorry, I had to run.
He's in and out like a yo-yo, isn't he? Eh?
I know. As soon as I'm about to say goodbye, so Carl,
Yeah.
do you have anything else to say before goodbye? And Miss Molina
No,
is in
I'm
the
just
chat
very
anyway. I'll tell her that
happy.
I'm happy to see her back.
Carl was speaking to you.
I think Carl, the network is bad. So this is where we stop the show, guys. All I say is goodbye.